Well, I tell you what, some of that stuff is binge worthy. Some of that television programming, some of the politics, some of those convention speeches, absolutely binge worthy. But there's so much out there to watch now, and it could be impacting your health. Joining us this morning is award-winning author and speaker on healthy living. We say hello again to Judy Gaman. Judy. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good. Now, we know all about binge watching, and I would suspect a lot of folks, especially now, still folks quarantined to some extent, I'm guessing some of that's led to binge eating.
Well, absolutely. You know what happens is you fix your meal and you go and you either sit down to television, or if you're at work or even working from home, we tend to just think of eating as, another thing we have to do, and we'll do it right there while we're trying to finish up on whatever it is that task is. But really what's happening is our brain's getting a little confused. It really can't multitask. And we've talked about this before, that multitasking is kind of like not a real thing. Our brain has to just switch back and forth real fast. But when we're highly engaged in whatever we're doing, whether it's a task on TV or even a video game for people who do that, or watching a very engaging movie, maybe a thriller or something where you're really intense, the brain can't register how many calories you're taking in. So that whole feeling of, oh, I'm full, you don't get it. So you're more likely to continue eating or eat again after you've had the meal. Oh, goodness. Judy Gaman joining us on Memphis Morning News. And that's a great point, that you don't have a calorie counter or a shutoff switch really in your brain. So instead, I guess we have to listen, instead of to our bodies, maybe keep an eye on what's on the label. I would suspect what are some things we should be doing if we're spending more time sedentary than rather our usual business day out and about like we were 6 months ago. Well, I think one thing that we really have to think of, and you mentioned read labels, that's very good. But putting together our portions ahead of time, thinking it through, and actually saying to yourself, cognizantly saying, okay, I do have to finish this task. Right now I'm eating, and think about what you're eating, because that's what's missing, is that thought process. Look, technology can be great. It allows us to do all kinds of things like work from home, but sometimes it can be to our detriment. One way technology is really helping us these days with executive medicine, we've got a program called Prime, where we actually put scales in people's homes that are smart scales, and they have trackers kind of like a Fitbit, and actually talks to an app, and we can help monitor them and talk to them without them having to come into the office because of this way that we are all social distancing now. But just being cognizant, just having that information, okay, this is your weight, this is your BMI, your body mass index, this is where you're headed. Just knowing that information and staying on top of it and having someone on your team really helps. Not everybody's going to have a coach like that. So you have to be your own coach, and you got to be really smart about it. And it's just about really talking to yourself, being cognizant of what you're eating, what you're doing. And I think these trackers that check your steps are fabulous.
They are.
You don't realize how much you don't walk until you can see the number.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you think that you've gone a significant distance, and then you say, no, not really. You got to get out and maybe do another lap around the block, or maybe go run those errands and get out and walk just a bit more. That's a really good point, because you think of, I look at my to-do list like, oh, I've done a lot today, but then when I look at it, a lot of it's been around the house, and that takes maybe 15, 20 steps. It's not really all that far. It's a really good point. So let's talk just about general health too, about screen time, taking breaks. What are recommended amounts of, if you're gonna binge watch something? I mean, how frequently should you just simply step away, take a walk, maybe drink some water, do some other things? What's a good intermission?
Well, we always like to tell people, look up every so many minutes when you're at the computer, because your eyes will get strained, you'll get tired. People say, oh, my eyes hurt, or you'll notice that your vision has actually changed because you have eye strain. So if you're at the computer and you're either working from home or working from the office, that's really important. And if you can, get up too every 15 to 30 minutes and go, like you said, find something to do. Now, when we're watching television, it's a little harder, right?
Yeah.
So I like to call it the commercial break walk. So every time there's a commercial break, you have to get up. Don't watch a commercial. Get up and move. Find something else. This is a good time to multitask, to do something else during that commercial. When you're doing a movie, that's a little harder because you're sitting for, 2.5 hours. You have to be very cognizant of when that movie's over, I'm going to turn off the television, because what could happen is then you start flipping channels. Now you're watching the news, then you flip to something else. So you're watching something else. Pretty soon you sat there 4 or 5 hours. That's so unhealthy.
Yeah, that's a great point. Judy Gaman, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insight. We very much appreciate you and hope you have a great rest of your week and be well.
Oh, you too. Talk soon.